Getting to know you, getting to know all about you, getting to like you, getting to hope you like me.
Getting to know them personally with interviews on Rock Made of Metal.
I'm Brian Marshall from Alter Bridge, bass player.
I am Scott Phillips from Alter Bridge, drummer.
And normally I would never start with these kind of questions because they are like trap questions basically, but I kind of think since the Hydra's opened and you're really one of the first, actually the first hard rock kind of tour to really perform here or not as well too, I would consider that quite a feat as well too, you know what I mean? Like, how do you feel about the fact that you're the first ones here, you know, in this venue?
I mean, it's amazing. We didn't choose to be the first rock band here. Just kind of, you know, sort of how the tour fell, and the fact that this venue is now newly open and beautiful. It's a fantastic place. Last time we were here, we played at the SECC, which was awesome as well. But this is definitely a more modern, I think, fan-friendly venue. I think the way the seating arrangement is, and sort of, you know, being round as it is, probably really caters to being able to see the show better. So I'm excited from a fan's perspective that they'll get to watch us being the first rock band in here. Well, technically Hailstorm, I guess, will be the first rock band since they play first. But
I've heard actually that Rod Stewart has played here and Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah, Fleetwood Mac. I think Fleetwood Mac, I don't know that they are, but I don't know if they have.
Mm-hmm.
So
I guess we are the first hard rock band, but not really per se rock and roll.
Yeah.
But,
well, I don't know if you
categorize Rod Stewart as rock and roll or Fleetwood Mac.
What are you talking about? That's rock and roll. Rod Stewart.
It's pop rock. Do You Want My Body? You think that's a rock and roll song?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
You want my body. It's not rock. Now, it's a badass song, but that's not rock and roll.
I'm just gonna go down the middle with this. It's rock, but it's not hard rock. So alright, I'll go for that. Right, we'll go for that. We'll meet down the middle here, guys. So alright, it's cool. Well, even the hard rock as well too, you could still say much about the tour that you go on. You got Shinedown and Hailstorm. Again, normally not ask this, but considering the fact that you three are pretty much the largest, in my opinion at least, the largest hard rock, American hard rock bands going right now, really. Yeah. That's quite a stellar tour, I think. I need to ask, like, how do you feel about the fact that you've got these bands as support to you guys? You know?
I think we're extremely lucky to have acts like Hailstorm and Shinedown opening up for us. And yeah, I think it'd probably, you know, in the States would be the exact opposite. We'd probably go on first, then Hailstorm, then Shinedown. Shinedown's an arena band in their own right. You know, it just kind of goes to show you from territory to territory to territory that I think people are, you know, fans of all the bands, but, you know, from market to market, it just changes who the headliner is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we've been here quite a bit, though. You know, we busted our ass. So I think this is probably between I can't count them all, but I know between 5 and 10 times we've at least been over here. So.
Oh, I'd say at least 10.
Yeah.
If not more. We've been over here 12 to 14 times, I think. This is probably the 10th time that we've played in Glasgow. So.
Yeah. Oh, I guess that's a good sign for you guys then, you know, the fact that it's not just been like, you know, 12 to 14 times, it's not just been like O2 ABC every time, if that makes sense. It's been a gradual rise for you guys as well too, so it must be a good thing for you guys to be here at this point in the UK, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Cool. Alright, well, obviously you're kind of here as well too for the support for your latest album as well too. I was really kind of wanting to talk a wee bit about that because I think what's really interesting about this album is the fact of what's happened like during the process, like, you know, the kind of the process like from the last album to this album, because you had one person going away working with Slash, the other person was headlining on it, the other person was headlining, like, you know, was part of a super group essentially, you know, like it's all different experiences are now coming in here and whatnot. Was it hectic trying to like coming back together, trying to, you know, all these new experiences, trying to almost get that back together in that kind of mold that you guys have by any chance?
Yeah, like you said, just getting everybody in the same room, on the same page, at the same date, same time. You know, that was a bit of a challenge, but we set out early on knowing that we were wanted to make this happen. So we all got together and just closed the door and talked with management, arranged the right times, and worked together, probably writing 6 weeks sporadically, because Miles left several times, went back out and did one-offs with Slash and that sort of thing. So we just all got in the room together and really just started focusing on the music as a complete kind of a piece of art, a composition, and really didn't conform to any particular kind of arrangements and that sort of thing. We just kind of let it go. Ended up with some quite long songs for the record, but when we got done with the arrangements, it was pretty much, we didn't want to change it. You know, it just felt right. And when we're playing the song from front to back and it's that long, it really doesn't feel like it's that long, because it just all kind of flows together.
It's natural then, I would take it.
Yeah. It wasn't automatic at all, but it took some polishing and getting in pre-production, that sort of thing. But pretty happy with the way it turned out.
Absolutely, and also the fact that, you know, it's basically, you said you kind of just came together and you kind of went natural and go with the flow and whatnot as well too. This kind of was that something that was different to what your previous albums then? Was a kind of less thought, if that makes sense? You know what I mean, to the construction of the songs, if that makes sense, as opposed to previously before.
We had kind of gotten into sort of this formula of, you know, how a song structure should be, and had more or less kind of conformed to that through most of our career. And I think at some point just decided, let's explore, let's open another chapter of what Alter Bridge is capable of, and not just have to stick to this, you know, like Brian was saying, just 4 minutes, you know, and the song's got to be over by this amount of time. And we've always written longer songs to begin with, and never anything that's been overly radio friendly when it comes to a time frame, which is important in the States. It might not be that as important everywhere else, but really just wanted to try and you know, create something different without losing the identity of what Alter Bridge is. Really try and push some boundaries of arrangements and styles and time signatures and all that other kind of stuff, and you know, just sort of mix it up for us as much as mix it up for the fans. You know, just try something new that keeps us as interested as the first day we started.
Absolutely. Well, obviously that's kind of related to something you were saying there as well too, of the fact that, you know, you didn't want to lose what Alter Bridge was as well too. But, you know, normally for bands, like, normally when bands going to go like, we don't want to lose our sound and stuff like that, they don't really tend to think that much about, because, you know, it's your sound, you know, and it's what you do. But when you were making that, was that really something that really came into it then? Was that fact of, let's not lose Alter Bridge sound, you know what I mean? Let's not go too far for experimentation. Like, how far did you go?
No, I really don't think we didn't think about it like that at all. When we get into writing, we just kind of let things happen the way they do. Everybody's pretty much knows their role in the band. And talking about the Alter Bridge sound, I think Alter Bridge took a big turn in Blackbird when the writing of Blackbird happened, and the song in particular, Blackbird. It just seemed to be one that we gravitated to as far as how the writing process and how the final song sounded and the meaning, and our fans kind of gravitated towards that too. So it's a journey that I especially think that Blackbird and Fortress have turned out. But there's songs like Words Darker Than the Wings from AB3, which kind of lends itself to that sort of that feel.
Awesome. Well, we'll move a wee bit away from that as well to kind of go back to the, you know, obviously the main, like the three things like between it as well too, which was Slash and Mark Tremonti and the supergroup as well too. I mean, obviously you said you kind of went with it as well, but influences from that must have gone into this album. You know, I mean, it must have. You know, like it must have happened. So what I was want to ask, like, what do you guys think really got into that then? Like, based on like, if you had to like separate those three things, like what each individual thing added to this album.
I think with Mark doing his solo record and sort of experimenting with more of the metal side of music, I think that definitely found its way into this record. There's a lot more up-tempo songs. We used to sort of live in this kind of 75 beats a minute sort of, you know, groove type songs, and a lot of faster up-tempo songs on this record than compared to previous ones. I think as far as the Slash influence, I don't know if Miles maybe found a sort of a vocal range that he's more comfortable in on a daily basis, as opposed to hitting those super high highs that he did on AB3, especially, which were magical moments. But I think when you realize that you're supposed to do that song night after night after night after night, and that it's not just a one-time thing, but you got to do it 100 more times the next year, that I think he sort of took that into consideration, and I think from doing AB3 and then going into doing the Slash record and the vocals that he put on there and realizing what worked for him. I think that kind of found its way into this record. And then for me, doing the projected stuff with John and Vinny from Seven Dust, and then E-Rock from Tremonti and Submersed. That was the first time that I'd really played or recorded with anybody on guitar that wasn't Mark, and you know, found a sort of a different rhythmic style in the way that John plays than compared to how Mark plays. And I think that sort of pushed the envelope of what I was, my comfort zone as a drummer, and made me sort of get better and experiment with different types of rhythms than what I've always kind of put down to what Mark has sort of always played.
Cool, awesome. Well, actually, you were saying something. There's another question I've got here as well too, because one of the things, like, I love you guys' songs personally. Like, I was actually kind of outside going, well, I'm interviewing Autopush today, this is nice. But you know, one of the things that I always got was, you always push yourselves to really be like the best you can be on stage, but as never really led yourself, is what you said, being easy to play. Are these songs actually easier to play than anything that you've done before? Have you made up stuff?
They're not at all easy to play. I mean, you think they would be, but they're no, they're not easy. I mean, I think they're just as challenging, and they're more challenging than some of the songs that we've done previously. But at the same time, they're still within our capabilities as musicians, and I think that's the important thing, is to try and push yourself, but not to the point that, you know, you've got some stressful 4-minute song that you may or may not get through every night. You want to be able to go out and perform the best that you can. So I don't think you want to record outside of what your abilities are, because you have to play it night after night after night.
Absolutely. And do you agree with that?
Yeah, completely. You know, we try to rehearse as much as possible, even on our own, up in the dressing rooms and whatnot. But getting out there on the stage is a totally different thing. And you know, it's like Flip was saying, we like to challenge ourselves, and we feel like we've grown as musicians, as people, as a band, and we're just you know, we want to be able to pull off everything that we record live, so that's something that we think about way ahead of time.
Awesome. We'll tell you what, that's all really the serious questions done and whatnot as well too, but I always kind of ask like one funny question, because I ask way too many serious questions in my interviews, and it's kind of nice to get a good one.
I like serious questions.
Yeah, it's good. I think this thing is good. I mean, if you love the music, then you'll love talking about it, you know, but it's always nice to get one at the end. Yeah. If you could have any kind of superpower, what would you have?
Invisibility.
How come?
Because I'm a voyeur.
I love that look you gave there as well too. It was, you might as well have just like glanced left to the right at that point, just like, I'm a voyeur.
Really honest yet scary at the same time. Think about the fact that we're all trapped on the bus.
I'm kidding.
Superpower for me. I might have to go with the ability to fly, and X-ray vision for probably the same reason that Brian mentioned.
No. I'm a strict master of my superpowers here. You get one. You don't get two. You get one.
Damn it, man.
Yeah, no, you get one.
All right, I'll stick with flying then. It'll be easier than having to hail a cab. Hey, what's up? This is Scott Phillips.
And Brian Marshall from Alter Bridge.
And you are listening to Rock Made